declension adjectives. All right, before we even go on to that slide though, let's just remind ourselves that adjectives must agree with what they modify in case, number, and gender. So that's why all adjectives will have 3 different genders, and they can be all the cases. So again, adjectives modify a noun in case, number, and gender. So in order to use one of these adjectives, you have to make it agree with the noun it goes with. All right, so we're used to first and second declension adjectives where you have the us, endings, and they're pretty predictable. With third declension, though, it's a bit different. We have 3 different types. Now, this actually doesn't mean that much. It's just really about how many principal parts the dictionary is going to give you. So there are adjectives like the first one here, acare, acris, acre. It has 3 distinct nominative forms. Now, the endings are all going to be the same as I'll show you on the next page, but basically it's just letting you know that it has 3 distinct nominative forms. So acare is masculine, acris is feminine, and acre is neuter. Now, acris also doubles as your genitive form, and this is just one of the types. So one of the types has 3 distinct nominative forms. The second type is like fortis, forte, where it only gives you 2 forms, and that is basically telling you that fortis is the masculine and feminine form, and forte is the neuter form. And then that's for nominative. Fortis will then double again as the genitive. So fortis is masculine and feminine nominative, and forte is neuter nominative. All right? Felix, felicis is the third type, where it's just one shared nominative form. So that means that felix is nominative singular for masculine, feminine, and neuter. And then that second principal part it gives you is not a nominative form any longer. That is just the genitive. All right, all of the endings are the same, so let's go ahead and take a look at the endings in their different types. So up on the left, you can see acare, acris, acre. This is probably the easiest of the third declension adjectives, and this is the one that you should learn your endings off of. So acare is the masculine form, acris, feminine, neuter, acre. Looking across the genitive, all 3 genders are the same, acris for your genitive singular, acre then again all the way across. In the accusative, acrem is for masculine and feminine, and acre is for the neuter. Ablative, acri, all the way across. Vocative is acare, acris, acre again. Now, if you're thinking about, hey, these look a lot like my third declension noun endings, you're right. One of the big changes in the nominative, in the singular, is that your ablatives, instead of being e's, they're i's. So that's part of where the adjective part comes in. And then when you look down at the plural, you'll notice acres, acrium, acribus, acres, acribus, acres. Masculine and feminine are the same. And then in neuter, the only change that you get is acria in the nominative and accusative and vocative plural. You'll also notice these look very similar to your third declension noun endings, except it's accounting for I stem rules. So that's why genitive singular is genitive plural is ium, and then the nominative, accusative, and vocative of neuter are ia. So that's the first type. The second type is up in the right-hand corner. That is fortis, forte, where all of the masculine and feminine forms are the same, because remember, it's only giving you one form for masculine and feminine. And then notice over on neuter, the ending is forte. Notice though our endings are the exact same as they were for acris, acre. It's just kind of how you attach them that looks a little different because the parts were a bit different. And then the last one is felix, felicis. Remember, this is the one where felix is the nominative for masculine, feminine, and neuter. So what I've done over here is basically I've declined it out in the masculine, feminine column, and then just over in the neuter column, I've just filled in the forms that are different. So you'll notice accusative singular is just felix again. Nominative, accusative, and vocative plural are then the felicia. So you want to make sure that you learn these third declension adjective endings that happen to be the exact same as your I stem, so that should hopefully make life a little easier. And yeah, so memorize these 3 different types, basically just telling you about how you're going to see it in the dictionary. And just to take a look at those again, the first type is the 3 nominative singulars, like acare, acris, acre, and then the second is two distinct forms, which fortis is then masculine and feminine, and it's also doubling, it's the genitive form, and forte is neuter. And then the third kind where felix is really the only nominative and it's for all three genders, and felicus is just your genitive. All right, so learn the endings, get used to seeing them, and voile te discipuli.